The sun was shining, and the playground was alive with the laughter of children. But for one father and his little girl, this was more than just a regular afternoon. The CEO, a man known for his sharp mind and busy schedule, had taken his mute daughter out for some fresh air, hoping the swings and slides might bring a smile to her face. She had never spoken a single word, not at home, not at school, leaving her father both worried and heartbroken as they settled near the sandbox. A single dad was watching his own son play nearby. There was something gentle in his presence that made the CEO glance over, but nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. The single dad approached, talking softly, smiling in a way that seemed to invite trust. And then, in a moment that froze time, the CEO's daughter did the impossible. She spoke. Just one word, clear and intentional, but enough to make her father's heart skip a beat. Everyone around seemed to pause, the laughter fading into an expectant silence. How did this stranger manage what years of therapy and care could not? Was it a trick, a coincidence, or something far more extraordinary? The CEO couldn't take his eyes off the scene, his mind racing with questions and emotions he hadn't felt in years. In this story, you'll see a powerful reminder of how connection, patience, and understanding can work miracles. But the real shock, the reason why this moment would change their lives forever, is just about to unfold. The CEO knelt beside his daughter, heart pounding, still trying to process what had just happened. Her small hand clutched his tightly, and her eyes, wide with wonder, seemed to hold a question he wasn't ready to answer. He had spent years trying everything: speech therapy, specialists, even alternative methods, but nothing had coaxed a single word from her. And yet, here she was, speaking to a complete stranger in a way that felt natural, effortless, almost magical. The single dad smiled gently, kneeling to the girl's level. There was a calmness about him, a patience that seemed to radiate warmth. The CEO noticed how his own daughter responded instantly to his tone, mirroring the gestures and expressions as if some invisible bridge had formed between them. He couldn't help but wonder who this man was, and how he seemed to understand children in ways he had never managed himself. For a moment, the playground felt suspended in time. Other parents glanced over, curious, but there was something private and unspoken in the way the three of them interacted. Questions swirled through the CEO's mind. What had this man done differently? Was it some trick, a method, or just luck? He had to know. The CEO's daughter repeated the word once more, this time with a tiny giggle, looking up at her father as if to share a secret. He felt a mixture of awe and disbelief. Could this be the breakthrough he had been waiting for? These years, and why now, with a stranger in a playground? Did it finally happen? The answers were still out of reach, and the tension in the air made every heartbeat feel louder, every glance more meaningful. The CEO watched, frozen, as his daughter repeated the word again, this time louder, her eyes sparkling with a joy he had never seen before. The single dad simply nodded, encouraging her gently without pushing too far. It was a delicate balance, and the CEO realized that in all his years of structured plans and schedules, he had missed the simple power of patience and presence. He tried to introduce himself, his voice shaking slightly, but the single dad waved it off with a humble smile. There was an air of mystery about him, as if he had stepped into their lives for a purpose the CEO didn't yet understand. Meanwhile, other children ran past, oblivious to the moment, and parents whispered quietly, stealing glances at the girl who had just spoken. The CEO's mind raced. Was this man a therapist, a teacher, or someone with a hidden talent? He needed to find out, but didn't want to scare his daughter by interrupting her newfound confidence. As the father-daughter duo lingered by the sandbox, the CEO noticed subtle gestures, the way the single dad mirrored the girl's body language, the gentle tone he used, even the little game he invented to get her to repeat sounds. There was a rhythm, an unspoken understanding that went beyond words. The CEO couldn't help but compare it to his own attempts, which always felt forced and mechanical. Meanwhile, in the background, a quiet tension was building. The CEO's assistant had called twice that morning with urgent matters. The company, waiting for decisions that could not be delayed. Yet here he was, captivated by a stranger, and a moment that felt bigger than any boardroom crisis. Could a playground encounter really hold the key to years of silence? Or was it just a fleeting miracle, one that might vanish as quickly as it appeared? The answers seemed just out of reach, and the suspense hung heavy in the late afternoon air. The CEO's heart raced as he knelt closer to his daughter, watching the single dad patiently guide her through small words and sounds. Each time she spoke, even just a syllable, a spark of life seemed to light up her eyes, and the CEO felt a mixture of awe and disbelief. He had never imagined that a stranger, in the middle of a crowded playground, could reach his daughter in ways he hadn't been able to for years. The single dad's calm presence created a strange gravity around them. The girl's tiny hands reached out to mimic his gestures, her laughter bubbling up in short, musical bursts. The CEO's emotions were overwhelming: pride, fear, hope, and a deep curiosity all mixed together. He tried to speak, to thank the man, but his words caught in his throat, as if acknowledging the miracle too soon might shatter it. Nearby, the children's squeals and the distant hum of the city seemed to fade into the background. The CEO noticed parents stealing glances, whispering among themselves, sensing that something extraordinary was unfolding. And then, the girl's voice rose again, clearer this time, forming a sentence that made the CEO freeze in shock. The words were simple, but they carried a weight he couldn't explain, an innocence and clarity that cut straight to his heart. His mind spun with questions. How had this stranger managed to unlock a voice that had been silent for so long? Was it instinct, experience, or something he couldn't yet understand? And as the CEO leaned in, trembling with anticipation, a sudden movement caught his eye, the single dad gesturing toward something, urging the girl to take a step he had never taken before. In that moment, the air felt electric, heavy with possibility. The playground was quieting down, the world narrowing to just 3 people standing at the edge of a life-changing moment. The CEO realized that whatever happened next could alter not only his daughter's life but their entire family, and he had no idea if he was ready. Just as the CEO leaned in, bracing for the next miraculous word, the single dad suddenly stepped back, a shadow crossing his face. He glanced around nervously, his smile faltering for the first time. The CEO's daughter, sensing a change in tone, hesitated mid-step, her tiny hands frozen in the air. There was an unfamiliar tension in the playground, a quiet urgency that made the CEO's chest tighten. Before he could speak, the single dad whispered something almost to himself, yet loud enough for the CEO to catch. "We shouldn't be here, not yet." The words sent a jolt of confusion and fear through the CEO. What did he mean? Was there something hidden in his past? Or a reason he had appeared now, of all times? The sense of mystery deepened, twisting the joy of the moment into a knot of worry. Suddenly, a phone buzzed insistently in the CEO's pocket. He ignored it at first, unwilling to break the fragile connection between his daughter and the stranger. But when it buzzed again, he reluctantly pulled it out, an urgent message from his office. A major deal had gone wrong, and the company needed him immediately. The CEO's heart sank. Should he leave now, or stay in the midst of a breakthrough that could finally unlock his daughter's voice? Meanwhile, the single dad knelt again, urging the girl softly to repeat a new word. But this time, she stopped, glancing at him with uncertainty. The CEO noticed a flicker of recognition in her eyes, as if she remembered something from before, something he had never known. And then, without warning, the single dad looked directly at the CEO, his eyes shadowed with a secret he hadn't revealed. The playground, once filled with laughter and sunlight, now felt like the center of a storm, each second building toward a revelation that could change everything. The CEO realized that the miracle he had witnessed might be tied to a truth he wasn't ready to face. The CEO took a deep breath, his heart pounding as he stared at the single dad. There was something in his eyes, urgency, but also trust, that made him realize this man held the key to his daughter's voice. Slowly, he nodded, giving silent permission to continue. The single dad smiled softly and held out a small, colorful toy. "Say it," he encouraged gently. The little girl's eyes lit up with recognition, and for the first time, she spoke a full, clear sentence. "I want to play." Her voice, bright and confident, echoed across the playground. The CEO's knees nearly buckled as tears filled his eyes. Years of worry, frustration, and helplessness melted into this single, perfect moment. The single dad stepped back, satisfied, but his eyes lingered on the CEO, silently communicating a bond forged in trust and understanding. As the father scooped his daughter into his arms, joy radiating from both of them, the CEO finally managed to ask the question that had burned in his mind. "How did you do it? How did you make her speak?" The single dad hesitated, then revealed a truth even more shocking than the me.